I also used Red Heart Super Saver Minty Green for the tail. Here's some more information on this yarn, and again I only used one skein of this yarn. If you don't want to buy another skein of yarn, you could use the same yarn that you used for the fin, the same color you can use for the rest of the tail. So now for mine, I'm going to change colors to my minty green, so I'm not going to use any more of this. I'm just use this color for the tail, or I should say the fin portion of the tail, and for the rest of the tail I'm going to change up the color. So you can have fun with the colors and make yours whatever color that you want. Go ahead and set the fin aside for now. Even if you're using the same color, go ahead and set this aside. So now for the main body of the tail, you're going to use whatever color that you want. You can change up the color if you want. I'm changing mine to the minty green. And then just drape the yarn across your 4 fingers. Use your thumb to stabilize. Then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers. Hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. You're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. But the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. So go ahead and bring up a loop. Yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for your slip knot. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then just take your forefinger and your thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You have the 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one, but this one's closing the loop. Just close it gently. You can close it more later. Take that loose yarn end and pull on that. Then just turn your work, and you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So you should still only have a stitch count of 6. So 1 single crochet in every stitch for 1 round, and then come back, and that means that you should have a stitch count of 6 still. I'm just going to go ahead and finish. So this is my 4th. My 5th, and my 6th. Now you can kind of turn your work inside out if you need to, and then pull on the loose yarn end on the wrong side, which is the inside, and that will close up your magic circle. Then you can take your yarn marker, place it right where you left off, and then you're going to continue 1 single crochet into every stitch around back to the yarn marker, which means you're only going to have a stitch count of 6. Here's my 2nd. And you're going to not take the yarn marker out, just leave it in place because you want 4 rounds of a stitch count of 6 in each round. So go ahead, finish making 1 single crochet in every stitch around until you've completed 4 rounds, and then come back. So this is how your work should look so far. I made 1 single crochet into every stitch for 4 rounds. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up for your first increase round. So for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet in one stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch, then repeat. I had one stitch left, so I just made one single crochet into that remaining stitch, and I have a stitch count of 10. Then go ahead and take and move your yarn marker up, and you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 3 rounds. So this is not an increase and it is not a decrease round. So you should have the same number of stitches each time you go past the yarn marker. So don't remove the yarn marker, and then just make one single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds, and then come back. Then after you finish your 3 rounds, go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off for your next increase round, which is one single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, one single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into your 3rd stitch, then repeat. So I had one stitch left. I just made a single crochet in that stitch for a total stitch count of 13. Then take and move your yarn marker up, and then just make one single crochet in every stitch for 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch, and then come back. So I just finished 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. Go ahead and move my yarn marker up for the next increase round, which is one single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now this is how your work should look. I have 16 stitches in the round. Then you can go ahead, make a large loop, take the yarn marker out, and then put a little bit of craft stuffing inside. So you can see how I put some craft stuffing into the inside. You don't need to fill it all the way to the top. Then you're going to go ahead and take the fin, and then you have your long end that you have for sewing. If you didn't leave a long end, go ahead and just get some of the same colored yarn as your fin to sew onto the body of the tail. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle, put the same colored yarn as the fin. I left a long end for sewing. Then you're going to take the body of the tail and put it right through the opening that you left. And then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and sew in and out. You're going to sew the fin to the body of the tail. And this is where you can get a little bit of a flare too for the fin by taking and sewing one edge up high on both sides so that you get a flare on your tail. Then I just tied a knot on the inside. This is what mine looks like. You can see how I made just a little bit of a U and how my fin looks. And then on the other side, make sure that you have them at the same level. You don't want them crooked, and it creates a beautiful tail. So now we're going to go back to the main body portion of the tail to finish that up. Now for your next increase round, you're going to make one single crochet into 4 stitches, so one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then make 2 single crochet into your 5th stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. Then repeat. Then you should have a total of 19 stitches in the round. Go ahead and take and move your yarn marker up. Then make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for 4 rounds. So 4 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So I just finished 4 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Then you can go ahead and move the yarn marker up for your next increase round. And for this round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 5 stitches. And then make 2 single crochet into the 6th stitch. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So you should have had 22 stitches in the round after that last increase round. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up where you left off, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for another 4 rounds. So 1 single crochet in every stitch for 4 rounds, and then come back. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up for your last increase round. You're going to make 1 single crochet into 6 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into your 7th stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So on that last increase round, you should have had 25 stitches in the round. Then you can go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. Then you're going to go ahead and make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the tail onto the body. So now we're finished with the fin and the tail of the mermaid doll. If you want the sequins on the mermaid tail, I used my Treehouse Studios sequins. They come in a pack. This is the iridescent 24 grams. It's round cup 10 millimeter. If you want to put the sequins onto the mermaid tail, you can use a sewing needle and thread to do that, but I like to use my tapestry needle. So if you want to use a tapestry needle like I do, then make sure that it's slender enough and has a large enough eye to fit the monofilament, and it has to fit through the center of your sequin. And then I like to use the Beadalon Supplement Clear monofilament. This is my leftover. It's a thicker, sturdy, almost like fishing line. It's very strong. Now you could take your mermaid tails, and here's what my other one looks like with the pink, and then the one with the light green color. And for mine, I'm going to sew the sequins on, so I'm going to show you how I did that. So the first thing I do is just take my DMC yarn threader and put it right through the eye of my tapestry needle, and then I hook the monofilament and bring it through the eye of the needle. And to help bring the monofilament through the eye of the needle, I usually go up and down with the yarn threader, and then that just brings it right through. Make sure you leave a long end on the other side because it'll come back through easily, and then you have to redo it, put it back on again. And then just cut off a small amount of the monofilament to sew your sequins on with. It's like sewing with fishing wire, so it's kind of hard to control sometimes. But then you just grab your sequin push mine to the side. And then you just sew the sequins on wherever you want to have the sequin. And it might be helpful to stuff the tail first with craft stuffing. So I just put a little bit of stuffing into the tail, and then I'm placing my first sequin. And I'm going to take my tapestry needle, I'm going to go in through the side of the sequin and then come up through the sequin. Make sure that you leave a long loose yarn end for tying a knot. Then you just go along the side of the sequin and come out where you went in. So I'm right beside my loose yarn end, and then just bring the tapestry needle through. Then you can tie your knot. And for this type of monofilament, I would recommend tying at least 5 knots into it. Then you're ready to sew around the sequin. So then I'm just going to take and come up again through the center. You can sew around the sequin as many times as you want for security, making sure it's secure on there. And so for mine, I'm going to go in and out about 4 or 5 times. So I just finished around 4 or 5 times. Now I'm going to go back through where I have my knot, just like I did in the beginning. And just remember that these sequins possibly could be a choking hazard, so make sure that if you're making this for someone that there is a potential choking hazard, so you can determine whether they're old enough to have these on their mermaid or not. And then again, I just tie several knots. I like to put about 5 in there, and then you can trim the loose yarn end and then move on to your next sequin. And then you can put as many sequins as you want for your mermaid. When you come back, I'll show you what both of mine look like and how many I put on mine. And then you're ready. After you tie several knots, you can go ahead and trim the loose yarn end. And you can't even tell. For the body, we're going to start with the magic circle. So just take your yarn, drape it across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize. Wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then we're going to bring up a loop. Then yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So there's 1. 2, 3, 6. Then just take your forefinger and your thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet, 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go, pull on the other one. This one's closing. Just close it gently. Then take your loose yarn end and pull on that. Don't worry if it doesn't close all the way. We'll close it more later. Then just turn your work so we can work in rounds. And we're going to work into our first stitch on the round. you're going to place 2 single crochet into that first stitch. And then you're going to make 2 single crochet in every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round, and then come back. So 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for a total of 12 stitches in the round, and then come back. So now you can see I have 12 stitches in the round. Now I'm going to turn my work over so I can close that center. Just take and pull on the loose yarn end, and that will close up the magic circle nicely. Then we're going to continue making our increase rounds, which means we're going to continue to increase the number of stitches in the round. Right now we're at 12 stitches. Go ahead and take your yarn marker and place it where you left off. I just used one of my scraps of yarn. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. I'll go ahead and make one more set with you. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, and then come back. So you should have finished 18 stitches in that round. And for those that already know how to do increase rounds, I am going to be increasing to 1 in 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the fourth. So for those following along, the next increase round, you're going to move your yarn marker up. And for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch, and then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. Then repeat. You should have completed 24 stitches in the round. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up. For our last increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the fourth stitch. Then repeat that pattern all the way around. So now I have 30 stitches in the round, and that was our last increase round. So that means we're not going to increase the number of stitches around. You're always going to have 30 stitches each time you pass the yarn marker. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch until you've completed 10 rounds. So you're not going to remove your yarn marker, you're just going to keep crocheting around. Just 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 10 rounds, and then come back. After you finish your 10 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, now we're going to start closing it. You can see how it formed a perfect cup for the body, and that's how yours should look too if you maintain the 30 stitches in the round. Now go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off for our first decrease round. And for those of you that already know how to decrease, I'm going to be decreasing to close the body completely. And the first decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then you're going to make your decrease stitch. And it's also called single crochet 2 stitches together. So go ahead and go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and move into the next stitch bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through all 3 loops for a decrease stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. I'm going to make one more set with you. 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. And then you're going to make your decrease stitch, or single crochet 2 together. Okay, so go ahead, repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you can go ahead and put your craft stuffing into the body. And you can always put more craft stuffing as you close. Then go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. And you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches. And then you're going to make your decrease stitch. So 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then make your decrease stitch. And just repeat that all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then go ahead and take and move up the yarn marker. We're going to make the next decreased round, which is 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then your decrease stitch. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. And you can put more stuffing into the body if you need to. Don't overstuff it. You don't want your holes to be or gaps to be real wide. So 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then your decrease stitch. And you can see how my body looks with my craft stuffing. Then you can just take your yarn marker and remove it. Now you're going to be making decrease stitches all the way around until you're almost closed. Usually I go for 1 round at this point, and usually I can just kind of gauge it. This is my 3rd decrease. This is my 4th. And it's maybe a couple more. This is my 5th. And now I'm going to go ahead and just skip a stitch, go into the next stitch. For a slip stitch, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook, and just keep slip stitching around until it is closed. I'm probably going to just put 1 more. Then you can go ahead and finish off once it's closed. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through. And I bring in a little bit extra yarn through to sew with, because that just makes it stronger or more secure. This is what my body looks like. Now you're going to get your tapestry needle and make sure that your mermaid tail has enough craft stuffing in it, and use the same color as the mermaid tail to sew it to the body. I left a long end, yarn end, for sewing. If you don't have one, just get the same colored as the mermaid yarn as the mermaid tail. And then I leave the long end at the top for sewing to the head, because it's the same color as the head. And for the tail, you're going to want to use the same color as the tail to sew. Just center the body onto the tail, and then just take and go through the tail and up through the bottom of the body. For the first round, you could be far apart because you're going to go back through and just make sure it's secure. and then just go right through the tail. And then you just keep going around sewing the tail to the body. This is what my body looks like once I've sewn it on. Now on mine I put more sequins on the front than I did for the back.